6 years ago, almost to the day of filming this, I dropped out of college. And for the last 6 months, I've made over $100,000 a month at 27. But it's not the way you think. And I'm not the annoying internet guru that you think. I'm just a normal kid who knew he wouldn't be able to survive a normal corporate lifestyle or working for anyone else and decided to take the leap while I had basically no risk at 21 years old. Oh, and by the way, I'm not going to sell you a course in this video. In fact, I don't get paid directly by hardly anyone that watches this channel because of the way I've set up my business, which I'll explain in a minute. So let's go back to April 2019. I walked out of taking my final test of college. And once I got back to my dorm room, I sat down and started working on my online business. And what was crazy about this time is that I was having the most fun I had ever had. Even up to this point in my business, I still don't enjoy it as much as when I had dropped out of college and I was pursuing the thing that was lighting a fire under me and just making me so excited to wake up every single day. And previous to this, I had 2 years of door-to-door sales experience. Let me tell you, teaches you a lot about how to be effective with your time. And what both of those experiences had taught me was the one thing that allowed me to succeed in this business. And I really mean that, because if I hadn't gotten over this hump, I would probably be working a job or back in college right now. And that rule was that I wasn't allowed to spend a single cent on my business, making a website, making things look pretty, a logo, a name, unless I had first made that money by closing a client. So I inverted the psychology on myself because I knew I would find those things interesting and it would feel like I was working, but I wouldn't actually be making money. And it forced me to just do the difficult work that I wanted to avoid and that all beginners want to avoid when they're starting a business, which is just sales. $0 to $10,000 a month, $0 to $100,000 a month really is just sales. How can you get your message in front of as many people as possible, get them to say yes, get them to swipe the credit card and get started? But there was one problem. Despite 2 years of door-to-door sales selling somebody else's product, I now had to sell my own product, and that felt scary. So with the money I had made from closing my very first client, which was through family connections, I spent it on a coach. And this is the second really big thing that if I could just scream from the rooftops for the rest of my life, it would be this: the more money you spend on education, the faster you will start to make more money. The people who sit there and criticize people who sell courses or coaching or consulting are the people that are stuck at the same revenue levels in their business or never start a business because they think everything's a scam. I've spent over $100,000 on my own education at this point, but this first $1,000, $1,300 I think it was that I spent on my first coach was some of the best money I have ever spent because of what he told me about sales. And it's not what you would expect. He told me, hey, because you're feeling uncomfortable about this, do research, not sales. That was a novel idea. I said, that's a lot easier. I could go into a business owner and say, hey, I'm doing some research. I'm a student. Technically, I knew I was dropping out, but I was still a student. And I'd love to get some information on what you've done in your business for X, Y, and Z in the past. And then when I'm listening to them, I could provide some value to them and hopefully get a client. And let me tell you, this is exactly what I did. I went to Facebook, I typed in the word orthodontist, and the first one that came up, I clicked on it. I sent them a message. I said, hey, I'm doing a survey on orthodontists and best marketing practices. I would love to get some information on what you guys have done in the past. And in exchange, I'd love to give you a free marketing plan. They said, yes. We booked the call for the next week. And a couple weeks after that call, I closed them. My very first client outside of my network.
I'd be happy to send over like past campaigns that I've run and you guys can look at it. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
And let me tell you, there is no feeling like the first sale you make in your own business. It was incredible. And after I closed that first client, I went through a period of meandering for a couple of months, talking to insurance agents, talking to painters, plumbers, all sorts of random businesses. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm getting really good results for my first orthodontist client. I just need to cut off everything else and focus only on getting more orthodontists into my business. And that's exactly what I did. I started to make some resources on what I had done to market for this other orthodontist and expose other orthodontists to it and say, hey, based on a research-based approach, this is what we're seeing is working. Would you like to try it out? And the next month I closed another orthodontist. Then the next month I closed another one. And almost before I knew it, about 6 months after I dropped out of school, I hit $10,000 in a single month. I just felt so insanely lucky to be running this business. Now, over the next few years, I was able to scale that business to $30,000 a month, then $50,000, and then $80,000 a month. And the amount of mistakes I made along the way are insane. But basically, it can be summarized like this. As a beginner, you underestimate the costs that are going to go into your business to hire great employees, overhead, everything. And you need to charge more than you probably think as a beginner. Otherwise, it's a recipe for burnout. Your reputation goes down because the services aren't provided in the best way possible because you didn't hire the best people. And you're ultimately going to become a slave to that machine and it will probably become unenjoyable for you. And I kind of got to that point and I reached out to a friend of mine and he said, hey, I was actually talking to someone and they said they wanted to buy your business potentially. I said, oh, that sounds good. I think I'm ready to get out. And although these problems were going on, it was still an asset that someone would want to buy. And this is around the time all my friends were graduating from college, about 3 years later after my first year. And I was like, if I could sell my business at the same time everyone else is graduating from college, I would feel like, hey, this wasn't completely wasted. I would feel like this time that I've spent, making decent money, I was making about $100,000 to $150,000 a year from the business, I would feel successful, even though I haven't had, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in personal income in a year. I think this is a pretty good win for about 4 years in. So on February 1st, 2023, I sold that business just under 4 years after I started it. And in that same week, I found out that my wife was pregnant with our first child, and I had to figure out what was next very quickly. What I started to do was just record everything that I had learned about running a marketing agency in one spot and start helping other marketing agencies with that. That business quickly scaled, and then I started to do something called affiliate marketing, where I refer people to other softwares, other courses, etc. And I get a kickback for doing that because I had built up this YouTube channel. And let me tell you, I did not expect it when my monthly income started to go from 30 to 40 to 50 to 70 to $100,000, $120,000 a month just from making simple YouTube videos online like this.
What's really cool now is that the majority of my income actually comes from a software that normal people like you and me are using to start their first business and take home more money than they ever have. I use this software when I ran my orthodontic marketing agency. I use it every single day to run my business today, and I love it so much I've literally referred thousands of people to it. But what's really cool is whatever your strengths are, there's a place for you in using the software. If you're more sales savvy and you have a lot of local business owner friends, you can introduce them to the software and get paid doing it. If you're more tech savvy and you're not as well versed in sales, there's tons of people who are already using the software that want help implementing certain things from it. So what's the software? It's called High Level, and instead of hiring a big sales team, they actually rely on people like you and me. And while you can just promote High Level directly, what myself and a lot of other people do is we put our own brand on the High Level software, which is completely allowed, by the way. In fact, they encourage it. And almost literally overnight, you can have your own software that you're equipped to help local businesses with their marketing, automation, configurations, IT stuff, just by paying a small monthly fee to High Level and keeping 100% of the upside. And what's really cool is that on this channel, I am documenting how I'm rebuilding my marketing agency now primarily as a software, from the tech to the systems to the sales. And if you check out this video, it shows you how to get clients as a beginner. So see you there.